On the Monday, November 3rd episode of General Hospital, Sunny positioned Portia as a suspect. Emma and Britt faced off, Curtis and Jordan kissed, and Tracy exposed Martin's scam. Sunny showed up at Alexis's law firm to discuss her defense strategy for Willow. Alexis didn't want Christina to speak on her behalf, and Sunny didn't want Michael blamed for Drew's shooting. Alexis admitted that Michael was a logical suspect in the eyes of law enforcement. However, Sunny still couldn't comprehend why she'd defend Willow and asked if it was because she had previously taken care of Scout. Alexis divulged that Drew removed the restraining order about seeing Scout in exchange for her defense services. Sunny offered Alexis an alternative suspect that wasn't Michael. Sunny named Portia as the potential perpetrator behind the shooting. He told Alexis that not only was Nina behind Drew being drugged by Jacinda, but Portia was also a part of the puzzle. Sunny urged Alexis to look in Portia's direction and uncover where she was the night Drew was nearly gunned down. He encouraged her to investigate whether she had a legitimate alibi, and if she didn't, to put law enforcement in her direction. Sewell confronted Laura about her misgivings about him. She asserted she had no intention of working with him in any capacity. He believed he could make Port Charles a better place, but she scoffed at the idea. She urged him to leave town and fund his travels. Sidwell proposed a counteroffer. Laura recalled how Sidwell nearly murdered Lucky, which guaranteed she'd never work with him. Laura slammed Sidwell's behavior as horrible, but he didn't think his behavior in Port Charles warranted the hostility. He denied setting fire to Charlie's, despite her clear belief in the contrary. Instead, Sidwell urged her to look in the direction of her longtime pal, Sunny. He brought up Rocco and insinuated that their mutual familial connection blinded her judgment. Laura saw through him and his tactics, and she referred to him as a violent thug, and she maintained she'd never be his ally. Before leaving, Sidwell asked Laura to keep in mind that everyone has a price, including her. Monetary transactions weren't the only way. Elizabeth asked Portia how she was feeling, and Portia was irate that Jordan told Curtis about the pregnancy. Thanks to Jordan's meddling, Portia's hands were tied, and she had to come clean weeks before she wanted to. Focusing on a healthy pregnancy needed to go on the back burner, because Portia was fielding threats from every direction. Besides Jordan, she had Britt to contend with. And with Britt typically comes Brad. Elizabeth questioned Portia about her drama with Brad earlier in the year, and in the most delicate way possible, she asked if Brad's return would be a problem. She admitted the only consequence of the Brad situation was her divorce, and she lamented what the marriage could have looked like without people getting involved. Curtis arrived at Jordan's apartment and confirmed Portia's pregnancy. Jordan was stunned that Portia fessed up to the pregnancy, but Curtis confessed that she only admitted it once he pushed her on the issue. Jordan looked conflicted about the state of Curtis and Portia's marriage following the news, but she still congratulated him. Curtis explained that the baby was the only thing he and Portia could agree on. They are committed to having the baby, but that wasn't a fix-all for their marriage. The problems that plagued them still existed, and pretending like the baby would solve that wasn't helpful. Curtis said he wanted her, but Jordan was petrified to be left behind again for Portia. He admitted it was a complicated situation. Britt and Emma clashed in Dalton's office, dredging up their long-standing gripe from the days Britt dated her father, Patrick. Emma didn't want Britt having access to his lab. Emma pressed Dalton not to trust Britt because of her previous misdeeds. However, Britt expressed excitement at getting started with her new position. Britt fought back against any of Emma's assertions, pushing Dalton to reconsider Emma's position. She apologized for getting too involved or pushy about Britt, but Dalton tore into her. Dalton stated, "Dr. Westbourne was right about you. You have no idea what's going on here, do you? Let me explain it to you. I hired you to organize my files, not to give me unsolicited insights and insults. You will never ever disrespect Dr. Westbourne again. She is critical to my research, and your interference, it will not be tolerated." After his verbal lashing, he demanded she remove herself from his office for the day. Emma got the idea for Rocco to steal the file key to Dalton's office, considering his close connection to Britt. At Lulu's, Tracy finally located Monica's genuine will, which Monica hid in Alan's diploma. Monica suspected Drew would pull shenanigans of some kind, so she needed to find a safe place for it. Monica wanted Tracy to locate it and left it somewhere that only Tracy would come in contact with the genuine document. Tracy left Lulu's house with the accurate will in her hand, eager to take down Ronnie and anyone else behind the scam. Ronnie hesitated to officially sign the Quartermain mansion over to Drew, and she asked for a minute. Drew told her she was delaying the inevitable, and luckily for Ronnie, the dog stole the paperwork off of the coffee table. Michael couldn't hide his joy, even if he tried. Ronnie asked them to wait for the dog to hand it over, and although she tried to leave, Drew insisted she remain there. Cody came in looking for his dog, and Drew blasted Cody and the dog if the paperwork wasn't recovered. Ned asked if Drew procured possession of the house, but luckily for the Quartermains, he hadn't. Drew told the family, "When are you people gonna get it? What you want doesn't matter. I make the decisions now, and I am finally taking my place as the head of this family. Right here in the Quartermain home." Michelle asserted Drew would never be the head of the family, and Ned doubled down on the fact. The entire family was against Drew. Nobody wanted him there, and no amount of shared DNA was enough for him to be welcomed. Cody managed to get the paperwork from his dog, much to Drew's satisfaction. All that was left was Ronnie's signature, but before she could put pen to paper, Tracy stormed through the Quartermain mansion and yelled, "Null and void! The sale of the house is null and void. That wasn't Monica's real will. This is." The entire room looked gobsmacked that Tracy arrived with an 11th-hour smoking gun against Drew and Ronnie. Everyone questioned Tracy about the contents of what she found. Martin tried to downplay Tracy's, but the notarized will shot down his assertion. Ronnie confessed that despite not knowing if Tracy's version of the will was legitimate, hers was not, and Monica never left the house to her. She admitted it was forged and pointed the finger at Martin as the culprit. Ronnie replayed the story of how Martin came into her life, and she knew he had a plan to ensure the house went to someone worthy. She didn't want to go along with the plan at all. But Tracy's hostility toward her in the crypt flipped the switch for her to go along with it. She couldn't follow through with it. She wouldn't take their home from them. Ronnie was grateful that the real will was found, and Monica's wishes could finally be honored in the way she wanted. Tracy threw Drew out of the house, and he appeared to be furious with Martin for what he'd done. She asked Chase to have Martin arrested for fraud, but Ned insisted he had a better idea. He arrived at Laura's office and told his sister he was in a deeply regrettable circumstance. Ronnie profusely apologized, and she told the family she left Michael's inheritance to him. He asked if she'd read it and revealed that Monica didn't leave him the house. She left it to Tracy.